team of survivors kind of thing. They're just really good at figuring things out. So
we are. Well, it's 1 o'clock here, and I think it looks like we're live. Hopefully we are. And so, well, welcome to the, it's an exciting day, April 1st. Welcome to the Red Feather Mind Body Spirit Facebook Live event. I'm Christopher McClure, and today we have a very special guest, celebrated deck creator, Pamela Steele, who most recently is creator of the Eternal Seeker Oracle, inspired by the Tarot's major arcana. And we wanted to catch up today to learn more about this amazing deck, just amazing, how to use it and what's ahead. But first, a little bit about Pamela, the artist, author, tarot reader, mystic, dreamer, and all-around adventurer. Pamela Steele believes we are all divine beings having a human experience. I love that. As a self-taught artist, she has devoted over 5 decades to creating paintings and drawings, and to self-publish both the Steele Wizard Tarot and the Wizard's Pet Tarot, the ABCs. Pamela has loved tarot for over 4 decades. She's also taught tarot and given 4. Count them 4. No one can believe that, by the way. How's that possible? Yeah, because you have that youthful glow. So she has taught tarot at the presentations through BATS, which is the Bay Area Tarot Symposium, NEWT, which is the Northwest Tarot Symposium, local college, public libraries, and at various New Age shows. As a professional massage therapist with a background in natural remedies, Pamela offers physical and spiritual healing to those who seek wholeness. One of her goals is to leave the world and all who dwell upon it better than she found him. So, which is a wonderful, wonderful goal. I'd like to do the same thing, honestly. So wonderful to have you here. It's been great talking with you. A couple days ago and today. And how are you today? By the way, how's it going?
Roughly perfect. Thank you.
Roughly perfect. Okay, wonderful. That's great. Roughly perfect. So now I want to say that we met maybe about it might be 6 or 7 years ago, maybe longer, at the Bay Area Tarot Symposium. If I'm not mistaken, which was a great symposium for tarot professionals. I'd love to, have it back. Philosophy, if you're listening, we would love to have it back at some point. But yeah, so here we are now with the Eternal Seeker. So we've never got a chance to really sit down and talk in depth like this. This is our first opportunity to really, really do that, and so I'm excited too, just as a fan of yours. So so here we are. So you're either frozen. Are you frozen there, or are you just really intently listening? I can't quite tell. Oh, looks like we lost a video, perhaps. And so there we go. We have a hello from Amy Fisher. Uh-oh, we lost her there. So I will just talk about the Eternal Seeker Oracle. It really is amazing. Here, it's a beautiful, beautiful package. Before the show started here, I was going to mention that if you didn't notice, hopefully we'll get her back in a moment here. Might be having some issues with her camera. She was at our little tech setup earlier, so maybe I'll just have to do the entire interview myself with myself. We'll see. So the Eternal Seeker Oracle is really amazing, and so she just happened to be wearing. Oh, maybe she's trying to come back here. Once she gets back, you'll see. Show the exact same color as the cover of this, which is just amazing. And we were talking about why that is or how that is, and it was a complete synchronicity. She said it's a color that she's really comfortable with. And I believe it's her son's favorite color and all of that too. And just so happened, and the designer did not know that. And somehow that came to be, and here we are with this beautiful title here. So as usual with a red feather title here, it comes in a sturdy housing here with our magnetic enclosure, just like that. It's a lovely book as well. She's trying here. We'll see if we can get Pamela back. If not, our backup's going to be, we'll do a Zoom call and we'll record that, and then we will put that up to our Facebook live, our Facebook page there. Up here we are. I think she's trying to get back in here, and I'm not sure.
I'm not.
That's yours. Great. Oh, I'll show you in the stream here, and I think there we go. Great. Wonderful. Okay.
Hi, I'm back.
It's good. I was very much so. I was ad-libbing. I wasn't doing a very good job of it. So I was. So talking about, as we talked about the color choice for the deck, which was you were wearing this color. That was our pre-show, and just how it was complete synchronicity, how it just came together and kind of meant to be. And you were talking about how the whole process feels as though it was meant to be. It was just flowed, right? You were saying it just kind of flowed, right?
it really just fell together. But like I mentioned, it seems like whenever you're working on a project and you're in that, I call it my zen, okay? Because you lose track of space, time, nothing really interferes. You're in that moment completely. And you're communicating with what you're doing, and it be the entity that is the eternal seeker oracle begin to come alive. And the more it comes alive, the clearer it communicates. And the clearer it communicates, the better chances you have of not missing the message.
That's wonderful.
In my opinion.
It's funny you say that too. The entity that is the eternal secret oracle. In the guidebook, it said, what does it say? It says how to caring and feeding of your deck, as if it's as if it's its own entity and it's its own being, really, which is.
I
really
believe that very much so. Simply because experience has taught me, if nothing else, it's taught me that you cannot push that river. The only thing you can do is get in and ride the current. Hopefully, if all goes according to plan, you arrive safely where you intended. And if you don't, well, you better learn how to row.
That's a really good point. And I would say that something like this actually helps you row. It really does. So it's a great, it's a kind of like I wouldn't call it a tool, because sometimes we'll call these things tools for the journey. This is more of a guide or a friend, it seems. As you're saying, it's more that sounding board. It's more that guardian almost, or that just all of that along with it too. So what really inspired you to create it? What inspired you to create this deck?
Pressure.
Okay.
Well, okay.
I
think I explained in the blog that I haven't had time to read it yet, so I don't remember what I wrote. That when I was asked to do the first poster for the Northwest Tarot Symposium, immediately this image popped in my head, and I said, I'll do it. I got an idea.
Okay.
And the working title for that became The Hermit Dude. And later it became Spirit Guide. Okay. But at the time, it was full blown in my head. So I went ahead and got it ready, and it was on, the t-shirts and the programs, every place at Newt's that first year, it was there. And everyone that saw it asked me, ooh, is that the beginning of your next deck? And I went, no, absolutely not. I was still putting the finishing touches on the Wizard's Pets. The last thing on my mind was doing another deck. And as time went on, the question kept coming up. And I finally thought, well, whatever. Well, this was months before the first Newt. So fast forward 18 months. That's how long between the first card I did and the second image. And that one was the Oracle. Now, the Oracle had been in my head for 6 or 7 years. I wanted to do that figure in that setting, and I didn't know why. So I got busy and thought, well, that was a good, good parameters and everything. So we'll just try it again. So I did. Because I like to go about a 4-to-1 aspect ratio on drawings. So if you do reduce them down, you've got enough clarity in them. But you don't want so much detail in there that people need a magnifying glass to see it. So I worked up the Oracle, and I put the two side by side, and I thought, wow, maybe, because the Hermit Dude, who is now the Spirit Guide, and the High Priestess, actually, who became the Oracle. And from there, I thought, okay, I don't know where we're going with this. I don't know what we're doing with this, but let's just start. And since I like to make outlines, I'm not really much into memorizing details, but I started a list of, okay, these are the two that I've got, and started playing with numbers. And the next thing I knew, it was like when the Steele Wizard happened. They were lined up in no particular order, but they were lined up. I want to be next. I want to be next. And when it came to cards like the Tower that became Chaos, to me, by that point, I was not naming them after the traditional cards. My question would be, what shall I call you? What would you like? How would you like for me to address you? What are you telling me? And that's how they got their names.
That's it. I was
Does that make
going to
sense?
ask you about that. It wasn't on what we talked about it earlier, but as I was reviewing the deck, I was wondering, why the numbering came out the way it did. So, say for instance, why is number 5 the crone? Not the Hierophant, but it comes later. And so on 7. So why was there a specific reason for that, or are you saying it was how they wanted to manifest? Is that what you're saying?
That's how they wanted. They needed to be in a specific numerical order. And I know enough about numerology that you could carve it on my thumbnail without pain. I really nothing. So what I had to do was, as the numbers would appear on the card, okay, well, how did you end up with that number? Come on, buddy, tell me. I would start researching, and that's when I would find, well, this number represents, and I made it, after I would put, well, in the book, you'll find that at the very beginning, it explains why that number was used for that card. And as far as the crone, she needed to be there because the oracle is the maiden, divine feminine is the mother. She had to be next. That was law for some reason.
That was law.
And I know better than to argue, because you know how if you listen to your instincts and you've got these really great intuitive hits and you think, I don't really want to do it that way. And the next thing you know, there's a bus coming at you. So you really do listen.
you want to listen to the law. That's a good point. Yeah, it's sounds like a magical process.
Yes.
Really, for it coming together. So I guess speaking of magical processes, like how did you, I guess, really get into, tarot originally? You say for cartomancy and all of that. What's your story? What's your tarot and oracle story?
Well, my cousin made me do it.
Your cousin made
her
you
name is Maya Heath. Yeah, Maya Heath. She is Dragon Scale Jewelry. And we were on a road trip to pick up parts in Fort Worth, Dallas. And at one point she says, I got to take you somewhere. So she drags me downtown to this quaint, oh gosh, it was adorable, a little bell book and candle shop. We go in and there's a display and it had about 15 different tarot decks in it. And she does the Vanna White, choose one. And I'm going, why? She took a deep breath, walks over, grabs my face with both of her hands and makes me look at her with both eyes. And she said, because you need a visible means of prophecy, so you stop freaking people out. Just pick a deck. So I picked Rider White. And we took it back to the hotel we were staying at.
Okay. And
I thought some of the cards were missing. And she freaked out and counted them and said, no, they're all there. And we were arguing. Finally, she said, read them. And that's how it started, was by 10 o'clock that night, I was in love. I thought, this is great, because all I got to do is, instead of going into that really deep place where I could run into a fence post and not see it, all I got to do is pull a card. This is awesome. So I started practicing on her. And for the next 5 years, I had one book, which was written by Arthur E. Way, and another one by Eden Gray, the only two I could find in captivity anywhere. And so I started keeping a journal, taking notes.
Yeah.
And I would write down everything. Like, this is, maybe I used a spread, maybe I didn't. My cousin got me going and started on this. And then she just turned me loose. And after 5 years of journaling, I finally felt like, I'm ready. I know what we're doing here. I get it. I can do this. So yeah. And actually the journals, plural, became the book, the companion book for the Steele Wizard eventually.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So
that happened in organic. That's interesting. And speaking of journals, I love that, within this you recommend having a journal, but then there are a nice amount of areas for notes within this, here too, just to use it as a journal, the book itself, which I think is great for this deck. And it's a major plus, kind of Arcana plus, with the 33 cards. But it's really, so it's all kind of built in. The system's built in all together. And what I love about this too, it's inspired by the tarot, the major arcana of the tarot. But it's I think really perfect for someone who might be a little intimidated by tarot in general. I think it's a great entry point. That personally, for someone who's like, oh, don't know what, where to start with that. This, reinforces, a lot of the major themes through that are in the tarot, and just enhances them, and is that great primer deck, for those.
Yes. Oh, and another thing is, you guys did a way better job, but I had a sample deck printed up, a couple of them, and I took it to a show. Well, it's been a year and a half ago now, and I had it with me and was reading tarot for this 5-day show. And ironically enough, there were maybe 2 people in that 5 days that had never had their cards read, and they didn't know what to ask. They didn't know what to expect. They were so brand new to this. And so what I do is I just fan out the Eternal Seeker face down and say, pick one for me. And they would kind of, okay, so they'd choose a card. And when I flipped that card up, I could tell them exactly what they were looking for, why they were looking for it, and how to go about doing it. Now let's do a reading. So I'd lay that card aside for a focus point and go ahead and do a spread for them. And it was absolutely seamless. And I'm going, wow, how did that happen? Because I intended it.
Yeah.
But their agenda, I didn't know. But yeah, their first trial run and their second and their third and their fifth, they've just done exceptionally well. I'm so proud of them. It's like my children. I'm very proud of them too.
That's amazing. That's really great. I think each card is kind of like a meditation unto itself, and so you can get so much just out of one card. So now you probably don't like to play favorites, but do you have one that really is like a favorite, or like the one that because I do that. Maybe that's just me. One really sweet.
Oh wow!
Or are they just equal parts of the family?
Well, there's some of them. Okay, like the Divine Feminine.
Yeah.
That really, really, really resonated with me. For whoever, why, I'm not sure. But ironically, another one of my absolute favorites in the deck is Elder Gods. I just love that card. There's something about it that every time I see it, go, yes,
Yeah.
Ironic, and the irony here, the real irony is this figure here.
Yeah,
it wasn't my favorite. It wasn't.
Right.
It just wasn't. But when I saw the book cover, well, okay, let's live with it. Then I fell in love with it. I absolutely fell in love with it. And this was something, you talk about synchronicity. You talk about different artists and different presentations. This exact same figure, minus the wings and the hair, etc. This exact figure showed up at one of the art shows that I was at in a different painting by a different artist, done around the same time. I'd never met her before. I didn't know her from Adam. She didn't know me. And I walked by, I spotted that. I said, how? And she said, I don't know. It just came to me in a vision. And I said, I understand. So I had to show her mine. And we're just stunned. But it's kind of like, we're ready for this. We're ready to take that step. We're ready to step up. If we weren't, this wouldn't have happened. This wouldn't be here. But it is, so we are. So no backing, no do-overs. It's now.
No do-overs. It's just now. And it comes from the Harmony card, which is the card in the deck, which is that, and which just, I think that's just through your story and synchronicities and all of those connections there. It's a perfect card for that to manifest on to that image.
I think so.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Well, and it takes the place of temperance, which is also a lesson in patience and a lesson in blending. So, yeah, we got a lot to remember here, folks. A lot.
Lots to remember here. So, well, the one I connected with is your I am. So that's the one. If you have to, it's like, wow, I'm going through the deck and really it's like, wow, there's something about this one that just resonates for me. Of course, the 33, the master number, numerologically, there's a lot of power in this card here, and it reminiscent of the dragons too a little bit. I mean, I get the dragon, the wizard pets a little bit, with that. So that's really neat. too. But but they're all really amazing in their own right. So
That I am card, if you look closely at the highlight in the eye, it's a
yeah.
universe.
Oh, see, I didn't see that. That's really cool.
Yeah. I'd forgotten about it until
I'm not sure the the tiny universe.
Yeah, it's the universe.
That is really
the
neat.
universe.
Wow. So now I have more inspiration from that card. Fantastic.
Perfect.
So in your journey here too, I mean, lots changed in the tarot and all this too. What have you seen in your experience here? How has has tarot changed, or the acceptance of it, or all of that, throughout the years here in cartomancy in general?
Yes, definitely. I think it's important that we hold on to our roots in all of it, be it cartomancy, tarot, Lenormand, any of it.
Yeah.
But yes, it's definitely changed. And what I like about it is the old picture's worth 1,000 words kind of thing. Well, each artist that creates a deck has owned that and spoken it in their own soul language by creating these images. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started this journey, let's say, and really got rolling with it, my husband asked me, and he is as mundane as they get. Everything is black and white. If there's no rules, he goes and finds them because he has to have rules. I call them guidelines. They're suggestions. And when it came right, I know, when it came right down to it, he asked me one of the questions. He said, "Why the Steele Wizard? Why would people buy that deck or any of your work? Why would they buy yours instead of someone else's?" And I said, "Well, because it's the language of the soul, and they will buy it because it speaks to them on a soul deep level." And he said, "Okay, but what about me? Why would I buy it?" I said, "Because you like the pictures." He said, "Well, that's true."
Like the pretty pictures.
And that's what it's all about, is I will reach these people, and the people that everybody who creates a deck will reach a group of people. And the whole goal, the whole driving force behind it, the one thing was I didn't understand why. And I made it my personal journey to do this in my lifetime, to create a world where tarot is as common as reading your horoscope. Why not? Why can't we do that? I mean, people pick up a newspaper, or they pick up their phone or whatever, and they read their daily horoscope every single day. Why not your daily card? Why not bring tarot out of the dungeon and turn it loose? Let's do that. And I think the more decks we have out there, the more people we're going to reach. Hopefully,
exactly right.
Pay attention.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think with something like this, as I was talking about earlier, I think this is that kind of deck that will introduce a whole new crop of people to tarot and divination, cartomancy, and all of that too, and get them to appreciate it like we do. So. So thank you for so it all this folds into your personal philosophy. It seems it's so consistent with everything you're trying to do in life, and just give back really and help people on their journey. And you're doing a great job of it, too. So to do that. So what's your creative process like? I guess maybe start with the Steele Wizard, and so how it comes from the idea and then into the fruition as an artist. Could you go into that for me?
It starts as a feeling.
Okay.
It doesn't have form. It doesn't have anything yet. But by really allowing that feeling full reign, it begins to have tones and textures and shapes, figures, animals, whatever. It all comes together, like down to the smallest detail. And the job of an artist is to bring that into reality. Now, the silly thing, when you get it done, it doesn't move, it doesn't have noise, you can't feel the wind, etc. So you're missing a lot, and you have to still convey the elements of that. You still got to get that through there. So what most artists do that I've talked to is we go somewhere else. You're working completely from the right side of your brain. It doesn't name things. It doesn't have words. It only feels. It can only emote. Okay.
Mhm.
So you can sit down, or I can sit down and start drawing. And I've learned over the years to set some kind of a timer, because when I sit down to paint or draw, I have to use an art program and a stylus with a drawing pad anywhere. Too much arthritis in my hands. But when I used to sit down and paint, well, for instance, one morning my cousin called. We lived about 90 miles apart, and she said, "Look, I'm kind of busy today, but I will be there tomorrow, right after I finish up." And I said, "Okay." And next thing I know, she walked through the door. And I said, "Hey, I thought you were coming tomorrow." And she walked up, she grabbed the brush out of my hand. She said, "It is tomorrow." My kids were at a neighbor's house. They'd gone camping. I sat there from 8 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock the next afternoon and didn't even notice. I had no idea any time had passed. I must have gotten more coffee at some point. I must have fed the cats and the dogs at one point, but I don't remember any of it. So that's where I go. That's what I do. And that's why it's the most healing thing for me. I can take anything I'm feeling, anything at all, and put it here so I can look at it. And I can take something that's sometimes really ugly and make it funny or beautiful. So art to me is one of the most art, music, dance, all of it. Any creative source, anyone who does these things will tell you that this is it connects you so completely to the all that is that you kind of get, I would say probably a junkie. That's what I feel like whenever I start to draw sometimes. I am so addicted to being able to create. I don't know what I would do if I couldn't. That makes sense?
That sounds like a blog or something, maybe Tarot Junkies or something to itself. So something you said there as far as the something you said about art, the artistic method for you reminded me of like Michelangelo and how like in a block of marble, the sculpture was already there. You just had to release it.
Yes.
Right. So similar to that, it's already kind of like there. You have the idea, it's there. You just have to make it made manifest, through whatever medium you're using. Right. So
exactly.
What the interesting thing about that to me is the consistency of that. I mean, you just hear that from artist after artist after artist. It's just like, okay, it's there, just have to get it through and get it out. Right. Which I think is really, true artistry. Really. It's just like, there's that divine, inspiration, just that has to be made manifest. And so, so it's powerful. So now once you've brought something to, fruition, then do you, how often do you actually really work with the tarot and different oracles and things like that on a regular basis, or are you on
every day?
Every day?
Every single day.
Mm-hmm.
It's like an extension of who I am anymore. And it's all around you. Once it's a lifestyle for me. Okay. I can be driving down the road and see a symbol or an image or an animal and how it relates to what I'd been looking at in the cards, like maybe just that morning.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'll see something that catches my attention, and then later I'll have a deck out and I'll spread it. Let's just do one go. Oh, that's what that was talking about. That's so neat. But it's all interconnected. Mm-hmm. There is no, we're breaking down barriers every single day. We're going from, I have a soul, to I'm a divine being having a human experience, and it's all encompassing. It's all there. It's the difference between, you look at the chakras and the colors, if they're bright and they're vivid and they're clear and they're sparkly and all this, and then you get to a point where you think, well, that's a lot of colors, and you start to blend them together, and then you've got that, again, you're right back to the purity of clarity, and some people call it white. I think more of it is clear, sparkly clear. So this is the essence. It is our essence. It's the truth of who we are, and our job is to express that in any way we can. So if tarot is my nasty habit, so be it.
There are worse habits. So yeah. So basically you're saying it's a way of life. It's a seamless kind of way of life.
Very much.
For you. So, with that, with creating this, is there a certain thing that you really just, enjoyed the most about this deck in particular, creating it, or was it just the entire process?
Well, have you ever sat down and watched a really, really great series on Netflix or TV or something, and when it was over, you just felt that, they call it a show hole?
Yes.
Well, that's how I feel when I'm done. I'm it's all
right.
But,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
But then you get to playing with it, and you just wait for the next, Mission Impossible, I guess. Something. You just stay open. You just listen, and eventually, even if you argue, like, is this going to be the start of your next deck? No. Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. So I guess that said, what kind of lies ahead for you then? I mean, you have the all now. Hopefully, you don't have the all. We're still beaming from the release of this, and we will for a long time. But when you have the all, what lies ahead for you? Do you think, or has that yet to be determined? Well, I fill in gaps with things like writing some children's books with the Wizard's Pets, because they started in 1984. So there's a lot of material there. And that usually tides me over until the next, self-destructing little tape shows up with your mission on it, kind of thing. And I've learned not to say no. I don't really know what, I mean, the Eternal Seeker, when I first started doing it, I thought, okay, I'll do the majors and then I'll work on the suits. And then I thought, God, am I going to live that long? Because I am no spring chicken, trust me. That fluff fell off years ago. But I kind of would like to see how the suits would turn out. Like, who would show up to represent them? How would they want to be expressed and defined? And how would this work? But then it would give it a really odd number. It would, because I would have to do suits of 15 instead of 14, because I've got this thing about the maidens have to go in there. Okay. So how would, that would give us 93 cards in a deck. Wow, that's a lot of cards. Yeah. I've seen more. Right, yeah. Well, when you're ready, we can talk. Okay. All right. We can, for sure. Sounds good. So we do have some people who checked in here just saying hi. So we had Amy Fisher saying hi, and Stephen Bright, and Peter Coe says, hey guys. Michelle Welch has been watching. Amy loves the divine feminine too, don't we all? Of course. And Peter responded here, all day, every day, which I guess is to how it is just the way of life, really, Yeah. So, and it really is. So, so speaking with that, is there a way that your own social media, or the way that your followers can interact with you and get in touch, or how's best to do that? Well, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you really want to get my attention, email me. It's listed on probably everywhere. The one that I used to get on Facebook is, I set that up in 2000. So I do still have it active, but the best one is Steele, like my last name with an E on the end.
Okay.
.wizard.tarot@gmail.com.
Okay.
It's all lowercase, but I put dots in there so I could keep it straight.
Mhm.
And yeah, or just tag me and I'll send it to you, or message me or something. Yeah, I'm easy to find. I'm not hiding.
That's great, and I love how open you are with this. I think you really embody like what a true teacher should be about, like an artist teacher. You know, someone who just is that. I just got an image of Mercury. So just basically just that the messenger. Just bringing those messages and then assisting really on on the journey and being wanting to do that in any way possible. Whether it's connecting the introvert, so it's wonderful talking with you. You can tell you're living and breathing what you're doing here, and then but also too you're open to other to assisting anybody with their journey too, whether it be one-on-one in your artwork in a variety of ways, and so that's a true blessing to everybody. So thank you from a fellow seeker. Thank you for
Thank you.
creating all this this beautiful deck here, and it's out. It's formally out now, right? Just came out, and yeah, it's really a wonderful deck. I'm going to be using it in my daily pulls myself for sure. Yep. So, and then we'll talk about the next thing too. Who knows? Keep in touch. So, I saw where you what. Can we? Why don't we do a pool now? Can we do like a roll? Just maybe pull a card and just go off of that. So what should be the question though? We're gonna.
What's a good question? What do I need to know?
That's a good question. Well, what's the spring going to be like? We're in spring here. What is spring going to how will life be in general?
It's called Soul Fire.
Okay.
And it's the replacement card for strength. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, what we're telling you here is stop looking for answers out there. It's all within. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you really need to ask yourself one simple question: where does the source of my strength lie? Where does it come from? Is it your love of power, or is it the power of love that drives you? You need to answer that fully and completely for yourself. And once you've done that, once you've figured that out, well, then everything else just kind of lines up and gets in its proper place. I would love to see more people stand up in their truth and voice their truth. I would love to see that, because so many people right now, I mean, they're afraid that they're going to get, well, because of this pandemic stuff and whatnot. But do they really believe it, or is this something that's been handed to them? So find the source of your strength,
mm-hmm.
and let it set your soul on fire and let it burn bright, because that's the only way we're going to survive any of this. Mm-hmm. If we all agree to do this. Anybody got a question?
I don't see any questions there. I think everyone's probably in awe now because it was like so perfect. I don't think you're going to get a more perfect draw for where we're at now. And wonderful advice, of course. Find that purpose and find that fire. Really, yep. Well, I am excited. I think that's going to be a wrap for us here for this. Wow. Okay, I'm going to need to think about that one for a while. You got me blown away here with that. So really, thank you so much, Pamela, Steele, and thanks to everybody who tuned in today to our live event. I'm going to go and meditate probably on this now. So the Eternal Secret Oracle is available on redfeathermbs.com and wherever Mind, Body, Spirit items are sold. So many thanks to you all, and have a beautiful day.
Thank you.